right, I will call this meeting to order as it is 4 o'clock and we have all of our members here. I guess we'll do attendance first. I am Councilmember Sydney Zulik, District 6, and I am here.
Hopi Stasberg, District 3.
And you're here?
No, I'm not here. I'm like a disembodied presence or something.
Thank you for
It's
spending
just like,
your cerebral self with
like
us.
a clone of like the action. Yeah.
Well, thank you for not being here.
Courtney Daly, District 5. And I'm mostly here.
Great.
I'm Jennifer Crossley, Clerk's Office.
Isabel Piedmont Smith, City Council District 1. Here.
Yes.
Here.
Zoom.
Okay, and then we have agenda review and approval. So on number 2 on the agenda, after agenda review, is updates from the Office of the City Clerk. Number 3 is council member sponsorships of all items of legislation. Number 4, allowing non-city residents to serve on boards and commissions. Number 5, consent agenda, and then all other business. Does anyone have anything that they would like to add to this? Okay, and then I guess, do we need to vote on the agenda approval? Can we just?
No.
Okay, in that case, agenda approved. Let's go to number 2, updates from the Office of the City Clerk. Take it away.
Yes.
Thank you.
So I will give that the code of conduct and training for board and commission. Basically, we have it ready to go for a code of conduct once you all kind of gave it an overview as the full council and gave that overview. And so right now, the only thing that we are needing to do is to simply implement it. And so in order for us to implement that, that's going to be a part of the training for commissioners. And so I am very much pleased to report for training. We want to do staff liaison training first. And so staff liaison training for boards and commissions will happen sometime in May. So we're trying to finalize that and get that together, and then that's going to be a requirement. We'll have a few different dates for everybody to attend, and then the presentations, of course, will be accessible for everybody. Of course, following accessible guidelines, would be available for everybody as well. And then once that training is done, then we'll move on to commission training, and then that is when the board and commission training will go. And so to give an overview of what training would look like, basically that would entail, like, what's your role as a liaison? What's the mission of, like, knowing the mission of each board or commission and how to, go about doing that, and to be able to bridge the gap. Of course, some guidelines as well, but then in terms of what board members and commissioners would go through is basically, again, with the implementation of the code of conduct, basically expressing, here's what you can and cannot do in terms of, speaking without getting approval, or speaking, in terms of, I'm, Jennifer, and I'm speaking on behalf of the commission of McCloskey Room when nobody authorized me to do that. And so it's just making sure that people know and understand, and also the basic fundamentals of Robert's Rules of Order, and what to do in terms of, like, attendance policies and guidelines and so forth. So that, again, will be afterwards. We don't really necessarily have a date for that, but that's probably going to be the next phase, which is in June. And so that'll come, but that is what we are doing right now.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Would it be helpful for council members to attend that training, or would it be mostly redundant for us?
I think you're welcome to, of course. Yeah. So I think that would be completely fine to attend. We are.
They may want to notice it if they might attend.
Yes.
Just to make sure that we're not, bouncing up against any ODL issues.
Mm-hmm. But other than that, that's it.
Thank you. That's fabulous. Questions?
It's been a long time coming, and so I know that was something that I've been working on for quite a while, and accessibility just kind of slowed things down a little bit, but for the most part, it's coming soon. and I cannot wait to have that checked off my list.
Yay. Well, thank you very much for doing all that.
You're
I know
welcome.
that was a lot of work and a lot of people that you had to work with.
Yes. Fun times.
Yes. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
And then, is there an update on electronic sign up?
Clerk Bolden?
Yes, although I'm not sure that it's really much more of an update than where we were before, which was we were prepared to move forward and then had a pause in terms of timing and staffing because there was a certain point where we stopped. So my personal preference would be to continue to put it on hold until we are actually settled in terms of getting all of our accessibility updates in place. And additionally have worked out staff loads for council staff and clerk staff, because right now things are definitely in flux and I don't want to move forward with the new process until we know who's doing what when. So I know that's not a great update, but it is perhaps the most honest and fair update, which is I'm the biggest fan of the idea of having electronic sign-in for meetings and everything else, but I also do not want to start a process and have it just flail for you all and not work. So if you all are comfortable waiting until this fall, or maybe something we implement at the turn of the new year, I'm okay with that if you guys are okay with that. If not, we can push forward. But I want to tell you that I think it's probably not the best move to move forward right now anymore.
Thank you. Thoughts?
I don't see any reason to rush. We wanna get it right,
Okay.
so.
Councilmember Piedmont Smith, is that okay with you too?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. And you were nodding,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
figured that was,
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
honored to. Thank you for making that case.
you know, I pushed for it, but I also,
Yeah.
I want to do it right as opposed to just
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah, I
So.
think a lot of circumstances have changed since that happened, and there's, yeah.
Yeah,
to
it's
say the
kind of too
least.
bad, like, we were like this close
We
to
had,
actually
like,
like doing
Yeah.
it, and then, I mean, I think that meeting, I think I wasn't there. I think that,
Well,
I
we
think
had that
that's why we put it on hold, we had the
did a test
testing,
run,
but then
I
the
remember a
first
couple of things, and
meeting
it was
that we
just-
were going to do it at, and I was like, I'm not gonna be here because
Mhm.
Is that what it was?
I
There was
think
something,
so,
yeah.
like, there was absence somewhere.
Yeah, there were-
And oh, I know, I wasn't gonna be there, and I think that Isabel was sponsoring some
It was-
other piece of legislation, so then you would have had to have the gavel as parliamentarian, and then for the public comment part,
That would've
like,
been-
you were also managing
Right.
some piece
A
of
new
that.
piece of
And
tech.
so, right, so you would have been
Yeah.
then doing two things that you don't usually do at the same time.
Yeah.
And
Plus
so
it
then
would've
I
only
think
been
that
a
we
second
postponed
time.
it, for another meeting, and I don't know why. I don't know what
I
happened
think
after
then
that.
we had a few, I think there was always somebody who was
Yeah.
key who was not able to be there, and that's
I think it was just a momentum
the
thing.
nature of a,
Yeah, not the right time to start
the
something.
nature of the beast,
Yeah.
Okay,
so to speak.
thank you very much. Council member sponsorships. Isabel, who is on that?
Well, I wrote this legislation.
Yes.
I think it's pretty simple. Just when we brought this idea to the full, council, I think it was an 8-1 vote for us to pursue this idea of having, a sponsor for all legislation. So I don't know if we wanna share a screen or what, but you can see in the packet that, there's, actually, I don't know what order it's in the packet, but there's an actual ordinance, 2026-XX, to amend Title II, et cetera. And then the other document was just putting that in the context so everybody can see, you know, this is where Bloomington Municipal Code 2.04.270 is in the context of our code, and it's just adding that one sentence in red that says no proposed ordinance or resolution shall be considered by the council unless sponsored by a member of the council.
Great, thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments on this? Yep, Councilmember Stosberg.
Should it be co-sponsored? Like, like, should we co-sponsor it with the department who's bringing it, as opposed to just being sponsored by a council member?
I remember you suggesting that at the council meeting, and, just looking at, 4 or 5 other Indiana Class 2 cities, they don't talk about co-sponsorship. And also, since we never had, it was never part of our conversation that this legislation is sponsored by David Hiddle in Planning and Transportation, or this legislation is sponsored by Adam Wason, the Director of Public Works. That's never been our terminology for legislation, so I don't see why we would use the term co-sponsor instead of sponsor. It's a new thing. It's understood that most of this is coming from the administration. But the sponsorship is from among the members of the body that are considering this legislation. That's how I think of a sponsor.
And then the other thing was, Councilmember Rowell is the one who voted against this. Did anybody talk to him about why?
I haven't had a chance.
No.
Okay, I guess I'm kind of curious as to his thoughts on that. There's been a lot going on. I haven't talked to him about this thing.
Yeah, I'd be happy to reach out to him, and try to understand his hesitation.
Okay.
I guess I'd love to get some feedback back also on the whereas clauses. I think I kind of captured the reasoning for why we're doing this, but I welcome your thoughts. And also the effective date of July 1st, I figured that would put us after our council recess.
Mm-hmm.
When is the last meeting before recess?
June 10th.
Okay. We do have quite a lot of legislation to get through over the next 2 meetings, but we should be able to get that on the agenda before then.
Said that way too quickly, actually.
I don't know why I was thinking May, but that doesn't.
No, it's in June.
Okay.
June 10th.
Yeah. I like the part about communication in the whereas clauses to answer your question. And the part about the sufficient context and explanation, and I think it might be worth adding a whereas clause on, saving time and city resources to not be scrambling to answer certain questions in the middle of a meeting, in a more professional way. But that's my only feedback, but it looks great other than that. Thanks for doing that work. Other comments?
Well, I think
So I would just say, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if we can't, fit this in as an item of legislation before our recess, obviously we could postpone the implementation date.
Right. I think we should be able to. Well, I think we should be able to. Do we want to now move on to
What was Courtney gonna say?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's-
Courtney, please go ahead.
That's fine, it was not important, I was just going to say that I agree, I like the whereas section, I think it gives good context. I think it gives a nice background and explanation of why we're here, so, I don't see any problem with it.
Great.
Since you asked for feedback.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, and I'm wondering whether the whereas clause about the sometimes not including sufficient context or explanation, and the one after that about clarifying language and context, I'm kind of wondering if those could almost be like combined, because I feel like they're kind of saying the same thing. But I don't know. I don't know how much wordsmithing we want to try to do, so I think it's okay the way it is too.
Okay. Do we want to move on to implementation logistics?
Sure.
So we talked a little bit about this at our last meeting, like, we wanna make sure that, the administration doesn't just always go to the same, sorry. To the same council member for each time, and that there's some logic between, council members' other roles and what departments they work with, in their other roles, and which legislation they might bring forward.
Okay.
So, I kind of started doing a list of, given the duties that are assigned to council members this year, which departments that they might bring legislation forward, or sponsor legislation from. But it gets kind of hazy. I mean, there's some that are more obvious, like, our planning commission representative could bring things from Mega Transportation. Our utility service board member could bring something from CBU. But not everybody has an assignment like that, and there are some departments, like family reasons, nobody believes serves ex officio in any of their decision making. So it got kind of hazy. So I'm open to other suggestions of how we can approach this.
I think it might be worth it to send it out to all of council and say, like, are there 3 or 4 or however many, like, subsections that you might be interested in sponsoring legislation for? What do you see as the primary sectors of the work that you do on council? Is there any work that you'd like to spend more time on? I think those kinds of things. Because, like, for example, I'm not technically on any boards or commissions that works directly with economic and sustainable development, but I do a lot of work with the small businesses in my district, and so I just naturally do a lot of work with that department, and so I'm sure that we all have certain things like that that might fit a little bit better.
It just also occurred to
And
me.
do you think it would be?
Go ahead,
Go ahead.
Isabel.
Oh, I was just gonna say, do you think it should be, set for a term of office? Or each year it could be different? Cause I mean, it may get confusing if like every year we're like, okay, now utilities should go to this council member instead of this council member, or, engineering should now go to this council member, because now it's 2027,
Right.
So that's another variable.
Well, I think it doesn't necessarily have to be just one council member. I think it can be a more fluid list of, like, hey, these 3 council members indicated that they were interested in working with the Planning and Transportation Department. Planning and Transportation Department, these are your first 3 calls if you're looking for a sponsor. I don't necessarily know if it has to be, like, as rigid as Planning and Transportation. You reach out to Councilmember Strasburg because she's on the Planning Commission. It's Planning and Transportation. Councilmember Strasburg has a lot of expertise because she's on the Planning Commission. She might want to be your first call. If she's not willing or doesn't support this initiative, here are the other people that you could call and potentially get something on the docket that way.
If you're on item 4, did you do public comment on item 3?
Yes, we will do public comment.
You're still on 3?
We're still on
Oh,
three.
I couldn't tell. Thank you.
Yeah, that makes sense. I forgot that this is not gonna be like an assignment sheet, it's gonna be more
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
here's the people who you might contact.
And I think
Yeah.
that makes sense to help keep it flowing with getting a variety of council members in the mix.
Right, and I think it doesn't even have to be necessarily a 1, 2, 3. It can just be a here is the group.
Yeah.
Pick your favorite.
That's right.
Like,
If you've
Pick the one that
used-
emails you back first. Because seriously, I mean, they can
Yeah,
email
I could do that too.
all the people and just be like, hey, I have this thing that I need sponsorship. Will one of you do it? Which
Yeah.
one of you wants to do it?
Mhm.
And yeah,
Yep.
so that it's whoever emails first.
yeah.
Whoever
And then-
responds. But the other thing that I wanted to add that I was thinking about suddenly when Isabel was talking about making the list was the budget legislation. Do we wanna exempt the budget legislation from this? Because I think it's a little weird to have a council member, or do we wanna exempt, and that would involve changing the ordinance. But, I mean, I think that we should think about that. Do we wanna exempt anything that comes out of the controller's office?
Yeah, you mean like appropriations?
Yeah.
I think that might make
probably a
sense,
good call.
actually. I'm not opposed to that.
Okay, I think that would maybe be something to talk with. I don't know, I feel like that should be something to talk about with more experienced legislators or the controller himself, or, I don't know if it makes sense to exempt all of the controller stuff, or just all appropriation ordinances, or, I don't know.
I would,
You're, Isabel, you're kind of frozen and we can't quite get what you're saying. Oh dear, now you're gone. That's a tragedy.
Come back.
I know, I'm not even being facetious, it really is a tragedy.
I was like, she was
Deadly.
the head of this one.
I know, right?
Well, we take a recess.
She'll come back.
Here she is.
Yay!
Eventually.
Councilmember
There'll be
Piedmont
video
Smith.
with the,
There she
Yay!
is.
Welcome back.
what were you saying about the controller's office?
Uh-oh.
She might be frozen again.
At least we can see her.
Either that or she's giving us a long, hard stare.
Yeah, we all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, yeah. That's, when she's serious.
She's very
she's
serious.
No video helps.
Yeah. Isabel, can you hear us?
Okay, maybe it would be.
Well, I know that clearly she's driving, so
Right.
she's
Yeah.
probably in
No man's land,
Yeah.
we call it.
a valley, in a something.
Yeah.
Can you all hear me now?
Yeah.
Now
Yes,
we can hear
we
you.
can.
Can you hear me?
Welcome.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna leave my video off, and hopefully that'll help.
Good call.
Okay.
Sorry about this.
No problem.
That's okay.
For the controller's office, I would think that, it would still be appropriate to have, sponsors for, additional appropriations throughout the year. But I do agree that the budget legislation should be exempt or should have an assumption that it's sponsored by the council president or something like that. I think that's a really good, point that we need to think about the budget legislation packet.
Okay. Should we go to public comment and then we can talk about final steps?
Sounds good.
Okay, great. Would anyone from the public like to speak on this? If you would, please come up. Where is that? Oh, and we have one hand raised on Zoom. We're gonna go in person first. And if you would like to come up here so that you can get on the Zoom microphone.
It's up to you.
I think we
Please.
have to.
on
If you could
over.
please introduce yourself, you'll have 3 minutes, and I'm gonna put the
Thank you.
timer right here.
Thank you, Terry Amsler. Very quickly, I think the proposed amendment to Title II is a good idea. I think, I just want to go on record, I think it's a good idea, I think it's timely in different ways. I will say also that I think, and I'm not suggesting language changes, or I'm just commenting on language, so all fine. But I'm saying, one of the things that's talked about is one of the improvements would be around context, explanation, so on and so forth. I think it also may increase the effectiveness of legislation and the effectiveness of implementation by having this, the council member involved directly as opposed to something directly from administration. So I think there's several good reasons. And the other thing, and this is a bit more of a preachment, I suppose, than directly to the item exactly, but I fear, and I'll say in Bloomington even, the diminishment of the legislative function in governance. I worry about this a little bit, even trying to find where the council is and signage and all. I mean, it's a vibe thing, I know, but it's a little strange. And so I think this is in the right direction a bit, while understanding it could be made ridiculous and done poorly. And I thought maybe whether a proposed ordinance should be considered unless sponsored by, I wondered if co-sponsored, although in some cases, but you know best about where and when and for what this is appropriate, and I don't. But I just wondered about what flexibility you want to build in language there that may help you out, and that I don't really know what it would be. And that's it.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Yeah.
And now to our Zoom commenter, you should be allowed to unmute. You will also have 3 minutes, and as soon as you are unmuted and ready to go, you may start.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Ericos, and I do have a few questions. I think just to want to make a note, there's actually only 2 bodies. There's the legislative branch and the executive branch. So I think that's an important observation to make here. With that said, the proposal is for, I think, the partitioning of council members to be assigned or accept responsibility for interfacing to departments. And of course, there's only the executive branch, but departments. So some questions which you may or may not be able to answer or want to answer at this time. Can any council member sponsor any legislation regardless of these assignments? Does the sponsoring council member need to be present when the legislation is heard? How is sponsorship an ancillary or an enhancement to the fact that procedurally legislation needs to be introduced? And is this actually going to solve the noted lack of context or explanatory information that's been a point of consternation? So, I mean, I think I understand the intent for this, but I just really wonder how it's going to actually be helpful as opposed to perhaps just extra work. But anyway, I think those are all my comments. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I think the intended purpose of this legislation is to ensure that the legislation has some level of council support. It also looks like Isabel's hand is up, so I'm sure that she would like to respond as well. And as for council members being present, I anticipated yes. Council member sponsors should in fact have to be present, and that was why we wanted to make it flexible on who can sponsor. Anyone can sponsor anything, but it's just...
I want to qualify. So if the council member who is appointed to be the liaison, and that word, I'm using that word loosely here, does not want to, but another council member feels strongly or they've
Point
been
of order,
lobbied to do this.
there was one opportunity for public comment.
Well, you weren't answering my question was not well formed, but continue, please.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Smith, Councilmember Piedmont Smith, would you like to answer?
Yes, thank you. I think there's a misunderstanding here, and it may be because I phrased things poorly at the outset of this topic, but this is not appointing liaisons to certain departments in the city. This is just helping the administration define sponsors by saying, well, these 3 council members have expressed interest in items that are coming from planning and transportation. And these 2 council members have shown an interest in items coming from the Economic and Sustainable Development Department, for example. It's helping the administration find sponsors so that they could, you know, have some direction as to where to go rather than just contacting all 9 of us. So it's not, the sponsor is not going to become some kind of liaison to that department. The sponsor is and there's not going to be assignments. It's just, let's say CBU has, you know, a rate increase, and they are thinking, who could we approach to be the sponsor of this rate increase? Well, we've gotten this information from the council saying that Councilmember Flaherty and Councilmember Rallo are both interested in, you know, the activities of CBU. So let's go ask them if either of them could sponsor this. So I think that was kind of a misunderstanding on the part of the members of the public who spoke. The other thing, oh my gosh, now I've forgotten the other part of his comment. But anyway, I just want to clarify that part of it.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I'll actually address the how is it gonna enhance, maybe that's what Isabel had forgotten, was how it was gonna enhance the legislation and the introduction, like why does it matter? And I'm gonna remind us of the CBU legislation about the rate increases, where we asked all of these questions that kind of made them go like, oh yeah, like we didn't quite think about it like that, because sometimes when you're so enmeshed in the topic, you don't think about it from the outside, and so forcing that sponsorship will, you know, they'll have that greater communication early on with a single council member. And that person hopefully will ask some of those questions so that then whoever is presenting the legislation can then present it from this viewpoint of here's some common questions that lay people might have about this and why we're doing it, and hopefully that will help reduce some uncertainty at the council level.
I agree.
That was my impression of when we talked about this originally, why we thought it would be helpful.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. In terms of next steps, Isabel, do you need anything else from us? I know that you wanted to talk to Controller McKim. Other than that, is there anything else that we need to discuss as this body to continue this forward?
Well, I would love to hear from you all. I mean, Hopi already brought this up as to whether there should be sponsorship of appropriation ordinances and in general, or only the ones that come out of the sequence of the annual budget, whether we should just make an exception for the annual budget legislation. If the other committee members could give some feedback on that, that would be helpful.
I mean, my gut reaction is to say I don't think we should have sponsors for appropriations bills. I think maybe we should have a carve out, you know, an exception for all controller issues coming forward.
I think I agree. But
And what, can you help me better understand the reasoning behind that?
I think the transfer of money is a little bit more complicated than policy choices. I don't necessarily know that council wants to, that any individual council member would want to put themselves in a position where they have to defend the administration's request to transfer money.
I feel like there's a conflict of interest there that could just feel a little bit messy and awkward. So I just think it would give a better appearance too if there's not a council member sponsor for it.
Okay, because we're the fiduciary body, and we have to be a check and balance on the expenditure of taxpayer funds. Does that capture it?
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I think so, and that's where I kind of, want to kind of hear more from Controller McKim, maybe even past controller, like look more carefully, I guess, at like what legislation comes from the controller's office. Like last year, we had a lot of like really kind of dry, like account creation stuff coming from the controller's office. They weren't appropriation ordinances, but it was like bookkeeping stuff. And so it's like, do we really need a council member sponsor for that kind of like bookkeeping stuff? And I think, I mean, Cindy may have said it best when it was like, it's not really policy stuff. And so, yeah, so I guess I'm not quite fixed about how that carve out should look or what it should, like how specific it should be, or whether it should exclude the department or exclude appropriation ordinances or like, but it should exclude something, and I don't feel experienced enough or like I've done enough immediate or recent research about all the different types of things that came out of the controller's office or could potentially come out of the controller's office, because that's the other piece too. It's like, would they ever sponsor anything that wasn't in that kind of category? I don't know.
Yeah, I think Controller McKim will be the most helpful in just
Yeah.
offering what are all the options that they have in terms of what they can introduce.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, I understand it better now, so
and-
I can reach out to the controller and also take a look at, the past couple of years, what has been,
Thank you.
legislation has come forward from the controller's office. So I'll do that, and I'll also talk to Councilmember Rollo.
Great.
But do you feel like we should bring this back to this committee, or one side? I mean, because this legislation to require sponsorship is gonna be sponsored by me, not the committee. So I wonder, do you wanna hear any revisions, or do you think it's okay if I just go ahead, once I clarify this couple things?
I think after you talk with Controller McKim, it might be helpful just to bring it up during committee report to the whole body, just to make sure that we're all on the same page on like, yes, we do want to do appropriations, or no, we don't. I think that'll make it a smoother first and second reading if we get that answer out of the way prior to the legislation being hitting the docket. Whether we do that at the 22nd meeting or the 6th, I'm agnostic, but I think that would be helpful as well.
And I also, controller's office would also bring forth bond, related legislation too, right?
No,
Oh, that's,
not necessarily.
Okay.
It depends on who's bonding. I mean, if it's for utilities, it would come through CBU. If it's
cause I'm also wondering
through the
whether,
RDC, it would come through,
Okay.
Anna-Shelley.
I guess I'm wondering whether bond stuff would also be strange to have a council member sponsor.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Perhaps.
Anyway,
I can also,
I trust you to
I
move
could
forward
check
with
what-
this. Yeah.
I can also check with some of the other cities and see how they handle fiduciary or fiscal type ordinances.
Okay, thank you.
And of course, we do have a fiscal committee now, or, I mean, it's temporary technically, or
Yeah.
ad hoc, but, I mean, that might be able to play into it too. Maybe not necessarily for the budget legislation, but for bonds, certainly.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so do we want, Isabel, is there any specific meeting you would like to introduce this at? I just want to make sure that we fully round out this conversation before we move on.
No, I hadn't thought about it.
Okay, no problem.
I mean,
Let us know when you are ready.
it's not urgent, so.
Okay, great, thank you. In that case, let's move on to number 4, allowing non-city residents to serve on boards and commissions. A, does any committee member want to make a specific proposal?
I have a specific proposal that I wanna make.
Great.
So one of the committees or the commissions that we talked about was Transportation Commission. And I've mentioned this to a couple of people, and I think I meant to talk to Matt about it and forgot. But one of the things about that commission when we first created it was we wanted there to be an MCCSC person on there. And so I don't have it brought up right now because I wasn't totally prepared for this, but we kind of have it written in as a preference for one of our seats. Should, preferential treatment be given to an MCCSC person? And my understanding from the MCCSC angle was they wanted somebody from their Department of Transportation to be in that seat, but they were a county resident. And so they couldn't be in that seat. And that was part of what started this particular conversation about Transportation Commission and county residents. And I would still say to not allow non-city residents to be on that board, but right now there are 4 appointed seats, 2 council and 2 mayor. And to take one of those seats and have it an MCCSC person, and we'd have to talk to MCCSC and see if they're down for that. But because there are other seats that, like, for example, somebody from the CCA needs to be on one of those seats, somebody from BT, a plan commission appointed person, and none of those appointees are specifically say that they need to be city residents. So any of those appointees could already be county residents because they just have to be part of the specific group or appointed by that group is that responsibility. So my proposal would be to change that, so instead of having 4, city residents appointed, we have 3 city residents appointed and 1 person. I'm not quite sure how it would be phrased, but we'd have to get the superintendent to agree essentially, talk to Dr. Winston and be like, essentially allowing her to identify somebody from her team, preferably in the transportation department, that could serve. So that's my idea.
Yeah, I support that. That was part of I'm on the interview committee that covered transportation.
Wonderful.
And when we were interviewing, we had to turn some people down for the MCCSC role. I remember specifically one person because they were county. And so when we were doing all the other interviews, we had nobody who was specifically associated with MCCSC. And so it got to the point where we were like, well, this person has kids in MCCSC, so they're a connection. That's the closest we can get. I mean, we liked them anyway. We didn't choose them,
Right.
It wasn't, didn't sound as pitiful as that. But that was the closest we could get to a tie.
Great, thank you. Isabel?
Yeah, I like this idea as well, to allow just the MCCSC seat or the seat where we prefer an MCCSC staff member to be somebody who is outside city limits. I was a little confused by something else that Hopi said, where you said currently it doesn't say these people, the other commission members have to be city residents, but isn't there the overarching requirement of city residencies that would pertain to the Transportation Commission? And maybe Deputy Clerk Crossley knows.
So I'm looking at it now. And the appointments say the commission shall consist of the following 9 members, none of whom may hold any employment, elected or appointed position within the city unless specifically permitted as outlined in this section. And then it goes on from the appointments from the CCA, preferred for MCCSC. But if it doesn't have it outlined in here, your code actually states that the overall mean is that if it's not outlined in, specifically in a particular board or commission code, then that means that the default is the person has to be, a city resident. I think before, this might have been mentioned before, one way to kind of maybe get around this, and pulling up the code here, there's something that says like, residential requirement, all appointments to city boards, commissions, and councils can be made from residents of the city, except those positions that are directed otherwise or state law. If a city employee is appointed by virtue, to a city board, commission, or council by virtue of employment position, that the residency requirement may be waived. So one thing that you could possibly do if you are wanting to still have somebody from MCCSC by virtue of them working in MCCSC is to maybe have that particular disclaimer in where that allows that person, because yes, you are correct. We had actually a couple of people that applied from MCCSC, and we had to tell them that they didn't qualify because they were a county resident, but they were hoping to do that because by virtue of them being employed by MCCSC.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Isabel, does that clear up any question that you had?
Yeah, so they're covered by the kind of default, section in DMC that says you have to be a city resident.
Correct.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I was just basing it on the Transportation Commission, like what we passed in code, saying one member appointed by the mayor shall be a member from the CCA or a designated representative. One member appointed by Public Transportation Corporation Board of Directors shall be a member or a designated representative. So like, it's like, there's or the designated representative, but it doesn't say on any of those they need to be city residents. But when we get down to the council appointments and the mayor appointments, it's 2 members shall be appointed by the council and shall be residents living within the city limits. And the other ones aren't necessarily.
Well, isn't this in the section of code where we added all the qualifications for all commissions?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then.
So is what you read like above that for
Yes.
all of them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't see that one. I was.
Code is dense.
Oh, it is dense.
Must be a man. Okay. What? Do we?
So do you want me, so I mean, I feel like it's a little bit weird to have it in there like as the MCCSC superintendent can select somebody for that. I mean, but I would be happy to reach out to her and just be like, we're trying to figure out a way to get,
Great.
you know, somebody from your transportation staff on, because, I mean, it's one of those things for me. It's like, yeah, I do want to prioritize city residents, but I also want to prioritize people that are going to care a whole lot about safety of our transportation systems. And if anybody's going to care about safety of transportation systems, it's somebody in MCCSC's transportation department in charge of, you know, transporting 12,000 students every day.
Right.
To our schools, most of which are within city limits. So I can reach out to her and ask her what her thoughts are on that, but what are, because the other, I mean, it's like a member appointed by Public Transportation Commission, a member appointed by Plan Commission, appointed by Public Works, appointed by the mayor. I mean, I suppose we could put it like, so one member appointed by the mayor shall be a member from the Council for Community Accessibility, and they will submit a list of at least 3 names to the mayor for consideration. So do we want to do it kind of like that?
I think
Like
that would
mirror
make
that
sense.
language? And then the other thing is if we're taking one of the 4, so of those 4, 3 are appointed by council and 1 is appointed by the mayor. And so I would then, would it be better if we mirror that language to say that that person's gonna be appointed by council? or appointed by the mayor, and of course the mayor would have to agree to give up her other appointment, or council would have to agree to give up one of our 3 appointments. So, like, I'm happy to reach out to whoever about that, but
Well, the other option is we structure it similar to the Historic Preservation Commission appointments, where it's a mayoral appointment, subject to council approval. I know that's more complicated. I'm not suggesting that's what we do. I just wanted to put it on the table as
I don't want
it's-
to do that.
Okay, I just wanted to put it on the table as something we
Yeah.
could do.
Yes, you're right.
Okay.
It is something we could do. I would.
Yes. Yes.
If you're on that committee, like, would you guys as the committee want to be able to have that appointment, like?
I mean, I don't mind it, I mean, I'm speaking for myself, not on behalf of the committee or
Right.
council, but I don't mind it coming out of, one of the council seats, cause it was meant to be originally.
Right.
So I think, I like that language of, we can have, to mirror that language.
Okay, to basically, receive the recommendations from
From the
superintendent and then not put any language in around residency related to those 3 people.
Right.
Because then Clerk Crosley, it will default to being okay for them to not be, because by merit of employment, then they qualify.
Okay.
And then y'all can interview the 3 or,
Whoever we
right,
deem we're interested in.
right,
The normal process, just
right,
these were
right, okay.
in a different bucket, so to speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so then the mayor's appointment can be left alone and, okay.
Isabel?
Yeah, I think we would have to specify that a person to fill that MCCSE seat is allowed to be a resident of the county outside of city limits. I think we do need to specify that. I think what Deputy Clerk Crossley had cited, a few minutes ago was pertaining to city employees.
Correct.
If it's part of their city employment and that's why they're serving.
Oh, gotcha.
So
Okay.
this is not by virtue of their city employment, it's MCCSE.
Right.
So I think we would have to put that in there.
Yeah.
Okay, and we have to then also put in, that they would qualify by virtue of their MCCSC employment. So I'm kind of mirroring the language from the CCA
Yeah.
appointment and mirroring the language from, what, can you send me that code reference just so that then I can,
I can send it to you.
okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
And
you.
so I will reach out to Dr. Winston and, yeah, once she's good with that plan, then I'll try to reach out to other council members too, or depending on the timeline of that can maybe be part of the same, committee report that, mentioned about the controllers.
Yeah,
budget stuff.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, let's go to public comment. Is there anybody, looks like there's nobody in the room, so would anyone on Zoom like to speak? Please raise your hand if so. Going once. Oh, look, we have a person. You'll be asked to unmute and then you'll have 3 minutes. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name's Eric Ghost, and I think this is an interesting conversation. I'm wondering if there are any opportunities to interface with the commissions that exist in the county that are similarly focused, like the Transportation Commission, planning, etc. I think that might become increasingly important as we move forward, given fiscal constraints. The other thing I just wanted to note is I thought I remembered, and I looked up and confirmed, is that the appointments to the Historic Preservation Commission are designated by the mayor and then approved by the council because that's specified in Indiana code. So there's a constraint upstream in regards to that particular process. But otherwise, thank you for all your work.
Great, thank you very much. Would anyone like to respond to anything that was said during public comment? Okay, in that case, next steps.
Are there any other specific proposals related to this?
No?
Okay.
Okay,
So next steps, I'll reach out to Dr. Winston and, if she's interested in that, then, I'll proceed with writing something up for a report
great.
to the full council.
Thank you very much. Consent agendas, need for review by legal counsel. Does, oh, I dropped my pen. Does anyone have an update on that? Or was that our legal
Or
counsel?
was that the update?
Okay, well,
That is the update.
our update is that we don't.
Fantastic.
Okay, great.
I just put it on the agenda just so that we wouldn't lose track of it, so.
Great, thank you very
Now
much.
that we have, at least a temporary attorney, I can, hopefully get an hour of his time or something and talk about, where we are with that.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, that concludes section 5. Is there any other business that committee members would like to raise?
Speaking of our temporary attorney, are we as council members gonna get any kind of notification, or when are we gonna get notification about procedure related to that?
I will get back with you about that.
Okay.
I will, Clerk Bolden, please.
Just a quick update, because we've been working pretty closely with leadership. Mr. Allen started officially yesterday for you all. He still needs to get his city email set up, and he just got his key, and so we went through and actually asked for them to set up his email with ITS and did all the onboarding things that need to be done for new staff members this morning. He has a key to the council office now, and access to the computers, and his plan is that as soon as he gets access to the emails that he needs, he will be reaching out to council members and letting you know kind of when he'll be in the office, when you can contact him, and what his basic kind of plan for work will be.
The framework of his,
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And that was really where I was right before I came in here.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Any other business? In that case, we are adjourned. Thank you all so much.
Look at that.
It was. Please go ahead.
I can't do it. I can't.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I did want to, ask you all to think of what other items we might put on the agenda going forward, since we've been checking things off and getting things done. So, if you have other things, maybe that were left over from last year, or, that, we kind of put a pin in previously, please just let me know and we can put those on the agenda for next time.
Great, thank you. And now,
wait, I have something.
go ahead.
Weren't there supposed to be other Title II revisions? Isn't there some like grand big Title II revision thing going? Where did that end with? Cause I know that Lisa was working on that, and is that,
It's on the schedule,
Yes.
but we've been pushing it back just because we've had so much like urgent legislation.
yeah. So it's actually like written somewhere already?
Well, no, Christine Chang was working on that, when she left. And so, once we get, some staff or other hired, potentially her, then we can pick that up again.
Okay.
I was going to also try to just access, her files and see where she is with it. But yeah, that was a big project, and I would estimate we were maybe a third of the way done with it, so, it was just on hold because of staffing.
Okay.
Great, thank you. In that case, we are adjourned still before 5. Nope, we're adjourned.